All right, we're heading to the courts. Let's take majestic steps. Captain is in studio. Captain, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Lily. I'm good, yes, sir.
I'm doing awesome.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was quite restful.
Thank God. And like
it was filled with a lot of activities, but I had to rest.
Yeah, that's one thing about the weekend.
You know.
So for me, the only day in the weekend that I enjoy most is Friday after work.
Really?
Yeah, that's the only time that I have time. Thinking that, oh, tomorrow, the next day,
there's no work.
But Saturday, activities all over. Then Sunday gets in, you're thinking about Monday already.
Monday, but wait, are you part of the people that Kofi Kinata was talking about?
I mean, Sumpa.
What did you do on Saturday? And did you go to church on Sunday?
Well, Saturday, and then, you know, I'm a Muslim, so as for Sunday.
Oh, yes, yes. Mutala is a Muslim. But did you drink on Saturday after after going to the mosque?
Interestingly, I'm not the fan of...
You're not an American Muslim?
No.
You're not an American Muslim?
What does that
Oh, they drink and then they say, I'm an American Muslim.
As for my weekend, when I have my football lineup like that, so it's more than a party for me. I enjoy those moments and all that. So the weekend was good. For some people wanted to cheat us, they want to rob us, but they were shamed. They were shamed over the weekend. We know the Manchester United people, Lantan it's not here.
Yes.
And all that, but good for them too. They won, but we are looking for them on the table. We can't still find them.
No, don't worry. We'll bounce back in all our glory. Anyway, let's head to the courts.
Yes.
A lot of issues happening. Pending political cases still on the table for discussion.
Yes. So on Thursday, the Attorney General designate is now official that he has been approved, and
he's now Attorney General Minister for Justice.
Sworn in by the President, and now he takes office as the next Attorney General of our Republic. And as a principal legal advisor of the state, there are so many pending cases that he's coming to meet. Some that potentially could be truncated, and some that he will have his own opinion about some of the cases that are pending before the court because of how those people were involved in all of that. And we heard the NDC's position on some of these cases when they were in the position.
Especially on GHOne.
Yes.
I am curious. In all the periods that the NDC MPs masked up in court, was he part?
Yes, GHOne was.
No, I mean, was the current Attorney General?
I'm not sure I've seen
you have not cited him
any of the videos and any of the time that he was.
Because then I'll be wondering what his current position will be.
Oh, definitely he will have a position on the matter, especially so because it's a criminal matter, and it was a matter that was initiated by the Attorney General at the time, and it's still a case that is being handled by the Office of the Attorney General. The Director of Public Prosecution is involved in all of that. He's been talking about all these cases and what will be the steps that he will be taking when he gets into office. And of course, people will be, not only political cases, but cases that have got public interest, and some persons were involved in all of that. But first of all, let's take his view on the Oliver Barker Vomawas matter. What he has been, he said, look, if I realize that there are issues that are fishy, if I realize that, of course, the reason Oliver is being charged is that he made a public announcement by way of post on his social media platform, by way of some comment that the government at the time thought that he was, as it were, plotting to incite people to overthrow government. And he was charged for treason felony. Dominic Ayeni has this message to say in relation to that particular case involving Oliver Barker.
With respect to the charges against Oliver, I will definitely also study the docket. The statement that he made is one that was made in the media. The docket has been built, and I will study the docket, and based upon my own opinion of whether or not they are trumped up charges, I may, drop the charges. All right, I'm not going to, stand here and assure you that I'm definitely going to drop the charges, not having read the docket, and come to an opinion as to whether or not the charges were properly laid and should be dropped.
So that's Attorney General and Minister of Justice.
Like you mentioned, he will have his own opinion on
Absolutely.
the matter. The principal
I am interested in his opinion.
Definitely, and it's one of the key elements of you being an attorney general, your expert opinion on a matter is very key to the success or the failure of a matter before court or arbitration and all of that. So he's saying that, look, the fact that I think that the comments were made on social media, I am going to review the docket, I'm going to look at everything surrounding it. If there's anything that is warrant that the charges be dropped, he will go ahead and drop the charge. But if he realizes that there's a case that ought to be tried, probably he will continue with the matter. So that is one of the cases that Dominic Ayine, where we is asked to reviewing currently as the new Attorney General of our Republic. And you mentioned James GHOne, yes, Member of Parliament for Asindorf, a whole lot of controversy. We witnessed this in court. There were a lot of NDC parliamentarians at the time when at some point in time when he's coming to court, they boycott Parliament. They storm their court. And then somebody was saying they are bulk majority. Yes, and then he's been making some points on that. The Attorney General has been speaking in relation to that. He said, look, particularly with appointment of some of the NDC appointment, the previous administration, he will again review the docket and look at them. It doesn't matter whether because you're a party member and you have been charged. Once you have been charged and he's here as an NDC, from the NDC, straight away, you are going to be free. He said, look, he's going to review the docket and mention specifically the matter of GHOne. Let's listen to him again.
Well, with respect to the trials that are ongoing involving former appointees of the National Democratic Congress, some of them for causing financial loss to the state and so on, some for very spurious offenses for which they were charged, like GHOne. I will study the dockets, and then come to an informed opinion as to whether or not I want to continue the prosecutions. So we'll cross the bridge when we get there. I'm not going to make any rash decision just because they are members of my party.
To be an Attorney General is a great honor. He said, he said, I'll look at it. So in this case, you're a big man.
Now I am interested in law.
You are not. Why are you now and not then?
There are a lot of things that have piqued my interest when it comes to the law, and so I would want to. I think it's a course I should take.
Yeah, I always say that even if you don't even want to practice for your daily life, for your daily activities, there are so many things that I learned in the law courts that had it not been the fact that I'm very close to that, I never knew that whatever I was doing outside, I was stepping on a very treacherous ground at the time. But it's always good that you have that. It helps you build your own personal life,
yes,
and then make on some informed decisions to about your life and all that. So like you heard the Attorney General say, look, I will peruse it, have an informed opinion, then I take a decision. But I don't think that because he's from the NDC, if you're an NDC...
But if for anything at all, sorry to cut you, but if for anything at all, Dr. Dominic Ayine is one that has his own mind.
Absolutely. And
so for somebody who has practiced as a lawyer for so many years,
lawyer,
he's a law lecturer. He knows the law.
Yes,
he's somebody who has his own mind.
Absolutely.
So it's something I'm looking forward to.
You talk to people behind the scenes, they tell you so much.
Yes.
Those who have been able to, who encountered him face to face, and those who passed through his hands and all of that. They have some good memories of him, and he's a very strong person. So he's asked for his opinion. We'll read more, we'll interrogate more, we'll criticize more, and in all of that. But during the vetting, there was one thing that he also raised about the issue of the tribunals, where they are going to establish tribunal. There will be a bill before Parliament. Parliament will have to look at it and all of that. He said, look, this is not to winch hunt anybody. This is not to cripple the traditional court. This is something that is borne out by the Constitution, and we'll do it. People were making reference to what happened during the PNDC days and all of that. Dominic Ayine is saying that the tribunals will not be for witch hunt, but it will be used properly to ensure that justice delivery is served properly in this country.
Well, the tribunals, when re-established, will operate within the parameters of the Constitution. And I do not think that it is a valid point that is being made by the opposition that we are harking back to the days of the PNDC. As I said during my vetting, the days of the PNDC are gone. Currently, the constitutional order that we operate will not allow for the abuses that were associated with the operations of the tribunals under the PNDC. And so I want to assure all Ghanaians that the intent and purport of the Public Tribunals Bill, when enacted into law, is not to set in place, a framework for adjudication or trials, that will not be governed by rules of procedure known to everyone, enacted by Parliament, and in conformity with the Constitution. The tribunals will not be abusing the fundamental human rights of Ghanaians. They will actually be administering justice in accordance with the Constitution and laws of this country. There's this argument that the traditional courts are much better in serving the needs of the people, and respecting the constitution of the land. But I don't think that is accurate. All right. The problems that afflict the tribunals, or that afflicted the tribunals when they operated under the PNDC, also afflict the courts, in so many ways. So for instance, when people talk about the abuse of fundamental human rights, aside the case of Afooko, Gregory Afooko was not tried by a public tribunal. He was tried by an ordinary court, and yet his rights have, been abused grossly. As we speak, he's in detention, and not too sure of, when he's going to gain his liberty. All right. So I do not think that we should emphasize too much, on the abuses associated with the public tribunals under the PNDC.
So that's Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic.
Yes, it's been very clear, very vocal what the role of the tribunal will be playing, and also those who are.
I know a lot of people have raised objections about it, saying, "Well, it's going to be a witch hunt."
Yeah, it was because of how it was used initially during the PNDC days. So they felt that they were going to use to witch hunt some specific people and all of that. He's making the point that no. The law is there, and everything will be tailored according to how the law works. And he made reference to one very significant matter,
case, right?
Afooko. Yes, Gregory Afooko. Ever since the matter has come up, he was granted bail, but it never was successful. He met all the bail conditions, but it was revoked subsequently. He's making the point that somebody like Afooko, from 2015 so now, that's 10 years, right? Few months to 10 years. He's been in lawful custody. He thinks that from what he said, if I'm lawyers of Gregory Afooko, the first thing that I will do is file another bail application at the High Court. And from what he has said, it gives the impression that prosecution will not even oppose to that particular bail application. And straight away, it becomes very easy for the judge to make a determination or a decision on this whole matter. So for lawyers of Afooko, this is a leading tip for you to just follow. Go to the court, file another bail application on behalf of Afooko. And who knows? Because from what he is saying, and this is a matter that prosecution has a very keen interest because it involves life, and then the punishment in this particular matter is life in prison. At the time that the incident happened, it was death penalty.
Okay.
But the laws have been reviewed, and now it is life in prison. So he made the point that something like this is clearly an injustice for somebody to be held in custody for almost 10 years. It's hard to take. So those are some of the things that the Attorney General is looking at. And today, one case that is coming up lately, Salifu Amoako, Bishop Salifu Amoako. And this is a case that when I mention, I have a lot of memories because I got attacked in this particular matter in all of that.
But where are we on that investigation?
Yes, so there are two legs of this case. Okay. Remember the one involving his 16-year-old son who was convicted, who admitted the offense and was sentenced recently to 6 months in a lawful senior correctional center. It was because of that case that this very action was initiated for failing or for allowing an unlicensed person to drive, and he, together with the wife, Moha Amoako, and then one sales assistant. So there are three before the court. What we do expect today is for the prosecution to amend the charge sheet. That is the indication from prosecution that the charge sheet will be amended. So what is likely to happen is the effect that the charge that we do know that they pleaded not guilty to for failing to allow an unlicensed person to drive could change, or some of the accounts could be added.
Right.
But before I walked into the studio, my understanding is that that particular business will not take place. What is expected to happen today is that they are going to pick a long date. And the long date is to the effect that this is one of the cases that have been listed as the cases that the new Attorney General will have to peruse and look at it, review it. So he's looking at this particular case, review the docket, and have his advice on this matter. So today, that particular indication that the charge sheet could be amended or fresh charges could be preferred against them, it will not happen. The only thing that they will be in court, and then the prosecution would inform the court, is that they want an adjournment for the new Attorney General to look into the matter and all of that. So that is what is expected in relation to Bishop Salifu Amoako, the wife, Moha Amoako, and then one, Linda Bonso Bempa, who were arraigned in relation to how the 16-year-old boy got the keys of the car, drove onto the street, and then crashed into another car, killing two young girls. And that case before the juvenile court. Yes,
that's quite a sad one. I mean, any time that story resurfaces, it gives me goosebumps.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nobody would want to have memories of this particular matter, especially if you watch the videos, you watch the scenes and how this whole matter happened, and how the victims, some of them even got bent beyond recognition and all that. It's a very heartbreaking matter. But of course, the law is the law. So we'll be in court and we'll follow up on this particular matter. And I will update our viewers on what exactly the pleasure of the court will be in relation to the kind of prayer that the prosecution will put before the court today.
We also know that Kandapa's defamation suit is also back in court today.
Yes. So Albert Kandapa, now former National Security Minister. And then Oliver Baka, former. That's right.
I'm sure in the history of the court, Oliver's name has appeared so many times.
That's what they call the circuit court. He has appeared there. The Supreme Court, his case has been at the Supreme Court, the treason felony one, and then at the High Court. But in relation to this one is not about the treason felony one. This one is about the defamation case that the former National Security Minister, Albert Kandapa, initiated. Remember that during the Fix the Country movement actions, Oliver allegedly is alleged to have made certain comments that made the point that he said that allegedly that Albert Kandapa wanted to bribe him to stop his political advocacy and all of that. He denied that. He filed a defamation suit. And then he's made his case before the court. And now lawyers of Oliver Baka-Vomao, Dr. Justice Shremsai, is one of the people that I'm learning that he's also being taped strongly for the Deputy Attorney General role. And so, we'll look forward to that.
It'll be interesting, and will he still represent Oliver?
So that's one of the interesting things about the law and all of that. So before you say, Jack, if what we are hearing or what we are is anything to go by, then within the chamber, in the chamber, it's not only one lawyer that is there. They have a team of lawyers and all that. So definitely, and when they come to court and they're announcing themselves, he doesn't come alone. He comes with some other team members. So days that he is not available, the other team members will come to court and do the business. But of course, there are certain cases you don't want your junior to handle it. You want you yourself to deal with the matter.
Exactly.
So that's how some of the cases you go to court and you see the Attorney General himself. Some of the cases you go and you see the deputy, especially in relation to the area that you want to cover or you want to focus within a particular point in time. That informs whether you want to be there personally or you want to send somebody to come. So in this case, it is Kandapa's defamation, but it is the lawyers of Oliver Baka who are subjecting him or who will be subjecting him to further cross-examination. And I remember that at the last court sitting, one of the issues that came up during the cross-examination was the fact that Oliver was a subject matter of discussion during the National Security Council meeting and all of that. So it means that, yes, he discussed Oliver. Yes, we had an issue about whether it was written or not written. He said, well, a few times that, yes, he had that in his brief. So the lawyers want to make this point to say that, yes, Albert Kandapa, as a National Security Minister, discussed Oliver at the National Security Council meeting and all of that, just to make their case that, yes, they plot and then whatever they have said about the young man. And so whatever he has alleged, if for anything at all. And then one of the things that they made is like, the allegation, if for anything at all, was made as a National Security Minister. And so the action should have been initiated by the Attorney General. It was one of the objections they raised during the preliminary legal stages of this particular matter. But Justice Joseph Edu Owusu-Ajima, he is the one handling this matter. Reverend Father is the one handling this matter. So this afternoon, we expect that the parties will be before the court, further cross-examination will happen. Then we'll see the area that the lawyers of Oliver Barker will focus on by way of their scrutiny of the plaintiff in the matter. So that's one of the things that we should also expect. And some more of the cases that we know today, Parliament will be that busy.
Exactly.
But of course, there are a lot of things that are happening in court and that will interest you. Last Friday, for instance, Thursday, for instance, the Supreme Court sat on the NDC's cases, applications for certiorari to quash the High Court ruling for the mandamus granted for the EC to collate and declare results. It's been adjourned Senate because some of the interested parties in this case, the NPP parliamentary candidate, were not served with the processes.
Okay.
But I heard there were some interviews about the Supreme Court is not hearing the case on time and then they are delaying on all matter. The point is that the parties have not been served with the processes. And when the Supreme Court adjourns a case, Senate die, it means indefinitely.
Yes.
But that indefinite cool, the next time that they are listing or the court date is coming, for instance, this week, you know, it will interest you to know that those cases that they have something like adjourned Senate die will feature. So when they say Senate die, it doesn't mean that forever. It can just take a day or two, then they are back. You just want to be certain, probably immediately after the court sitting, the interested parties were served. Once it was, everything is ready. So we just have to list it back. So it doesn't really play out whether it is indefinitely. It doesn't play out that, oh, it's forever. It's just forever but close.
I like that, forever but close.
Yes.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Captain.
Lily. Enjoy your day.
Absolutely, you too. See you in court.
See you.
So that's Murtala Yunusa with court today.